Bryan doesn't care about party. He doesn't care about, which company it is. He fights for the ostracized loner who's getting dumped on by these companies, which leads us to the Blake Lively situation. Now, she would say in this situation, she's the victim, Baldoni's the bad guy. And just to lay it out for the audience in a little bit more detail, what she's claiming is that even though she was a much bigger star than Justin Baldoni, who I never heard of before this lawsuit, she's the much bigger star, and she's married to an even bigger star than she is, Ryan Reynolds, that she came in and onto this project and started to get harassed and mistreated by Justin and some others, and that when she then demanded that all of her concerns be rectified, that he did it, but that he was basically lying in wait for when the film would get released in case she went public with what happened, that he and his PR team determined to bury her, to ruin her, and that this wave of bad press we did see about Blake Lively when the film came out this past summer was not organic. It was totally orchestrated by Justin and his team, and they've gotten their hands on a bunch of texts, especially amongst the PR team, but a couple involving Justin, that seemed to suggest they were ready to, quote, destroy her and to ruin her reputation. But I'll say one thing. The evidence that then they actually did it is far less fruitful, right? The texts about like, we could, here's what we might do if we need to, those are everywhere. The text proving they did, far less ubiquitous in this complaint. And what you've said now in your lawsuit against the Times is, don't even believe the texts that you see in the Lively lawsuit because they're seriously misrepresented, omitting major facts that would give them an entirely different meaning, never mind greater context. And that's where I want to bring you in. So tell us what we don't know about this fight between these two.
Well, what you don't know is a lot, right? Because Blake Lively's dominated the media. What they did was they worked with the New York Times. Her publicist worked directly with the New York Times. They shared illegally obtained text messages. They shared those together. They concocted a complaint that they filed with the Civil Rights Division. They omitted texts that would have provided context, texts that were in the exact same string that would have provided context of what was really going on. And in fact, they actually removed emojis from texts that show that there was satire and there was joking around by the PR crisis agents. I mean, the PR crisis agent was brought in because actually Blake Lively's publicist, Leslie Sloan, was planting stories negative to Justin. And all Justin wanted to do, and it's all through the text messages. If the New York Times apparently reviewed 1,000 or more pages of text messages, they would have seen it. Justin never wanted to hurt her, never wanted to be negative to her. He wanted to protect the film. He wanted to protect himself, and he wanted to protect her from making negative allegations about him that were made up and that are proven in this case, that you can see in late July before Melissa Nathan, the crisis PR person, was hired. You can see Leslie Sloan planting stories. We have evidence of it. The young kids would call it receipts. We call it evidence. And it's all over the place. There are text messages that refute every single thing in that complaint. And it's just disgusting when you go after someone, you try to destroy their life. And actually the evidence shows something different. Blake Lively was no victim here. She was in control. She was in power, and she took over this film.
So for those who are not in the Hollywood world, what is wrong with her taking over the film? She's a big star. Her name is what made it. It's what got eyeballs on it. How unusual is it, as you allege in your lawsuit, to have an actress come in and start editing scenes, taking over the final cut, excluding the director from it. The director and 2 editors on the film, in exchanges that we have now that we'll be posting on megynkelly.com, are talking openly about how it's about to air, it's about to hit screens, and they haven't seen it because she appears to have wrested control from them. So how unusual is that?
I've never seen it before in my 30 plus year career in Hollywood. And an executive producer is below a producer in the film world. An executive producer signed up to be an executive producer, and that's it. And an actress. And that's what she was supposed to be. As the time progressed in this film, she decided that she wanted to be a producer. She, applied to be a producer. She went and got, the dailies. She started to make edits. She wanted to be part of the editing team. There were people hired, like human beings actually hired to do the editing job, who had done work as editors. She wanted to be part of that team. The next thing you know, she took over the editing. She started making threats that she wouldn't promote the movie, that she wanted to be in control of marketing of the movie, that she would do nothing in terms of promotion unless she was the actual editor. She came up with her own cut of the film, which is, you have a director who has a cut, and she had a competing cut of the film. And for an executive producer to have a competing cut of a film is incredibly bizarre. But when she starts threatening people and saying, I'm not going to promote the film, I'm not going to do anything unless you use my cut, that's when it starts to be awfully incendiary. And the concern really is that she used these allegations of sexual harassment, and she used these allegations of bullying to try and leverage her position so she could be the de facto director in the case. And, as you'll hear in the voice note, as you'll see in the evidence, she had Justin sitting in a basement in his own movie with his friends and family during the premiere of the movie, which should have been the biggest night of his career. He was sitting in the basement.
Did you know that American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity? And cyber criminals are targeting it with a growing scam the FBI calls house stealing. House alarms, doorbell cameras, deadbolts, dogs, they won't work against these thieves because they're not after your stuff, they're after your equity. If your title is not being monitored, scammers can transfer the title of your home into their name, then take out loans against it or even sell it behind your back. The best way to protect your equity is with triple lock protection from Home Title Lock. Triple lock protection is 24/7 monitoring, and God forbid, if the worst happens, restoration services at no out-of-pocket cost to you. When was the last time you checked on your title? Likely never, right? And that's exactly what scammers are counting on. Make sure you're not already a victim, and you can get a free title history report as well as a 30-day free trial of triple lock protection today by going to HometitleLock.com and using the promo code Megyn, or just click on the link in the description. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Megyn, HometitleLock.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.